Here's a good one I'm asked quite often. What's your favorite fish? Well, my favorite fish is a fish I've got on the end of the line.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Got a fun show for you today. We are in studio. Me and Don King are hosting today's show, and we have a special guest who is
extra special.
His studio in Collierville, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Bill Dance.
Yeah, Bill Dance is with us today. So we're going to be bringing him into our house, and we're going to go to his house, his studio, and talk with him today. But with COVID-19, we're trying to keep our distance and things like that. So he wanted to be on the show, but he said, "I'll just help you out by working from my studio today." So, and we're okay with that.
Yep, that's right.
So it's going to be fun to chat with him and hear some of his stories. And he was on Wildcast early on, one of our earlier shows, and I think it was like episode 7 or so.
And I think that set the record for the length of time for a Wildcast, too. I mean, you and Doug interviewed him like lakeside. Weren't you at the Tennessee River or something?
We were on Kentucky Lake,
Kentucky Lake, okay.
Yep. And
I didn't make that trip, but that was a great episode. You know, Bill's got a lot of stories, and it'll be fun to hear what we kind of worked up some questions that we thought, our listeners would kind of like to know about Bill, know, and things that we'd always wanted to ask him too. So we thought it would be fun.
That's going to be a fun show. And before we get started and bring Bill in, we wanted to talk about the new shop. You can shop TWRA, find your gear. It's our new e-store. It's a pretty cool, easy site, shop.gooutdoorstennessee.com. It's relatively the same place you buy your license, the same address. Just put shop in front of gooutdoorstennessee.com, and it'll take you here. You don't have to have an account to get into this site. You can fill your shopping cart and then check out. It's just kind of like a normal online store.
Yeah, before it was a little bit more complicated. You kind of had to register like you were going to buy a license, whether you wanted one or not. But anyway, with this, like Jason said, it's a lot smoother and a little easier to get in and out of. So
got all kinds of cool stuff. The blue hats that we're selling right now, and the oilcloth hat are still available. The camo hat is a new one that we haven't really advertised much yet, but so that's out there. And then we have a couple of buffs, a blue one and a camo, the calendar, and some cool stickers. So there's a lot of stuff. We're adding more as more comes in. So
the calendar has always been a really desirable part of the subscription for the magazine, and so we've kind of broken that out. And I hear there are plans to expand the magazine, right, to a couple more issues per year.
Yeah, it's going to be online before you know it. And the thing about this calendar here that you're going to, if you purchase one, it's got a few more months in it.
Yeah.
We're trying to get our calendar back on a normal 12-month rotation, where you normally started like in July or something like that.
August through July.
There you go.
Which was kind of a weird time to start and stop, but it made sense.
Yeah, but this one's got a few more months in it just so it gets us back to a January through December
that's good
calendar. So anyway, this one will last you a while.
That's right.
A few more months in it. So anyway, this is a really cool site, shop.gooutdoorstennessee.com, and we'll be adding more gear. So get your Tennessee outdoor gear, your Tennessee wildlife gear right here. So.
Good deal. Hey, do you know who the mystery model is modeling the aqua buff there?
I don't know her name, but I know she helps us with some of our marketing things.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
She's hiding incognito.
Pretty girl. So anyway, if you're listening, you might want to just go to the site and check out the new stuff we've got there.
Yeah. So, we're going to jump into this interview with Bill. I was excited to have him do these questions, answer these questions for us, and he was excited to help us out. So,
yeah.
It's going to be a fun little segment with him, and I appreciate everybody tuning in.
Like you said, he's got a good studio. We've got a good studio, so we thought, well, what the heck? We'll combine our professional studios here and kind of go from there. So.
Yeah. Bill's been a longtime supporter of the agency.
Yep.
He loves Tennessee. He loves fishing. He loves outdoors all in general. He's a big supporter of what we do here in Tennessee as far as outdoors go, and always been a long time supporter.
we've never asked him to do something that he hasn't done it for us, like the next day.
Yeah.
You know, he's just always ready and willing to help out. He really is.
And, you know, the raffle just passed, you know, and he was part of the conservation raffle.
He donated a day's worth of fishing with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So man, somebody that won that is going to have a special day out there with Bill on the water.
I think Bill said it was going to be sometime in the fall, and they were going to go out and catch some fish. Wherever the fish are, that's where they're going fishing. So, you know, I didn't.
We tried to pin him down on where they were going, but yeah, he wouldn't give us any secrets.
The lucky winner will know his honey hole.
Yeah.
I guess by the time the trip's over with. But anyway, well, we'll jump into this first little clip from Bill, and like I said, we really appreciate him being a part of this show. So we'll jump right in.
You know, I've had a long-standing relationship with the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency. At every level, the folks that work for the agency have always been top-notch when it comes to conserving the outdoor legacy of my home state. So, I'm just doggone glad to do my part. You know, we really are blessed to have such diverse and wonderful natural resources in our state. And it gives me and other Tennessee residents such joy. Who wouldn't want to work to fund the management of such natural treasures?
Like I said, he's always ready and willing to do it. So when he was asked to donate a day's worth of fishing, he was more than happy, and I'm sure that'll be a special day.
Yeah, it sure will. It sure will. So let's jump in. You know, some of the other questions we had asked him is who introduced him into the outdoors.
That's always an important one on WildCast. You know, it's great to know the history of where we came from and what motivated us to get into outdoors.
Yeah. I mean, you know, a lot of us, it's the same story. You know, a parent or a grandfather or something like that. You know, introduced you to the outdoors. But Bill had a pretty cool response here, so we'll jump in. Who introduced Bill to the outdoors?
You know, I've been asked many times who introduced me to fishing. You know, I was truly blessed growing up that I had two people that gave me the greatest gift of all. Those two people introduced me to this great sport that we call fishing. And those two people were my daddy and my granddaddy. And both of them loved the outdoors, and both were doctors. So they also tended to teach me some biology along with how-to fishing lessons. Now, this was especially true of my granddaddy. He helped me cut my teeth wade fishing the creeks of Middle Tennessee. And though I have fished all over the country, creek fishing still remains my favorite. I still use the information they shared with me even today. For example, I know the way to wade a creek upstream. So the sediment, as I move along, that I stir up wading, doesn't disturb the area I plan to fish. I also learned about stealth, what scares fish, whether it be the shadow you cast on the water or the noise you make while wading in the gravel. You know, I learned a lot about that. I learned about the anatomy that my granddaddy taught me and my daddy taught me, about how fish hear, about the lateral line. And I learned that one time by throwing a topwater bait. When the bait hit the water, I saw a fish swimming, and when the bait hit the water, the fish stopped. And I said, you know, Granddaddy's right, the fish heard that bait hit the water. And as I moved the bait, the fish turned in the direction of that bait. And I said, he hears that bait. And when I moved the bait, the fish started toward the bait. And when I stopped the bait, the fish stopped. When I moved the bait, the fish moved. When I stopped, the fish stopped. And as I moved the bait, the fish continued to move toward the bait. And I learned those little things about the hearing. And then in time, I learned about the things he taught me about sight. He taught me more about anatomy, which helped me tremendously. and then the techniques that I learned later in life. So, who taught me how to fish? He taught me a lot about techniques, but he taught me so much more about anatomy, which still helps me today. So, as I said, my dad and my granddaddy gave me probably the greatest gift of all, and that was teaching me how to fish and what fish do and how to go about catching them. Yep, they did.
That's awesome.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
Who taught you?
My dad.
Your dad.
My dad, yeah. Yeah, we used to go fishing on the Elkhorn River that was kind of my first memory of fishing, river fishing. I always liked that because there was always something going on. There's water's moving, and even if you didn't catch anything, you'd feel stuff hitting your line. You go,
Yeah. So you grew up in Nebraska, right?
Yeah. So near Omaha, Nebraska, in the eastern part of the state, and so fishing, pheasant, squirrel hunting, stuff like that. So, but fishing especially.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, well, I remember my first fishing trip, with my dad, but my uncle played a major role in getting me outside and into the outdoors. He took me hunting and fishing, and some of my first wade fishing trips was with him, and then as I got older, in college and things, fishing with buddies, and my wife and I loved fish together, so so it's been a passion that has built over time, I guess, but always been a hunter and fisherman,
And I know you guys are passing it along to your kids too,
They love it.
Riley and Tucker both love it. Yeah.
Yeah, they love to fish. They have a good time, and
that's good because we'll have fishing models for the next 10 years at least, as they're growing up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They've already graced the pages of a few ads.
They have,
and things,
yeah.
So. Well, along these same lines, we asked Bill what was his favorite fish to catch. And I'm sure he's got many, but he filled us in on that. So.
All right.
Okay, here's a good one. I'm asked quite often, what's your favorite fish? Well, my favorite fish is a fish I've got on the end of the line. But when it comes to saltwater, I would rate the snook. Why? The power that a snook has, the big broad tail and the strength and the power. And then when I come into freshwater, it's got to be the smallmouth bass. And why I say the smallmouth bass, it's hard to compare their acrobatics and their will to live. Catching a smallmouth, I guess it goes back to the days when I was wading the creeks of Middle Tennessee. They're just truly unique. Their strength, their power, and watching them just scream across the water when you hook one. By the way, I caught my biggest smallmouth in Tennessee, an 8-pound, 3-ounce one. I caught him over on Pickwick Lake on the Tennessee River. And that memory alone might make Pickwick my favorite fishing spot. I used to live on Pickwick. I learned so much about moving water, fishing Pickwick Lake. It's really where I first started fishing independently, and it's really where I really honed my skills that became the foundation of my career. There's also a lot of tributaries at Pickwick that the creeks that feed into Pickwick and into the Tennessee River that remind me of where I used to fish as a kid. And I go back there even today and wade those creeks. Pickwick is a beautiful body of water. It's approximately 46 miles long and offers tremendous opportunity with a lot of different species to fish for that offers 12 months a year fishing. There's always something going on at Pickwick. From the headwaters at Wilson Dam all the way to Pickwick Dam, that 46-mile stretch. It has a good crappie fishing, excellent catfishing, and then below the tail race below Pickwick Dam, you have good catfishing, white bass fishing, smallmouth fishing. Of course, the largemouth fishing is good in the upper lake as well as in the river below. There's just something always going on Pickwick. And like I said, I lived there for a long period of time, had a place on Pickwick. So I rate Pickwick as one of my favorite. But Tennessee, my home state, is blessed with a multitude of great fisheries from West Tennessee through Middle Tennessee, all the way across the state. We hold many world records. We hold the world record walleye. Might be surprising to a lot of people. We hold the world record smallmouth. With our, we have lowland, midland, highland type lakes. We've got a lot to offer in our great state. So Pickwick is my favorite, as I said, but I enjoy fishing other Great Lakes throughout the state, but I rate Pickwick probably as my favorite.
he gave us a little more information than I thought he was going to give us. He's talking about his favorite fish, the snook, and then the smallmouth. But then he started giving away some honey holes. Yeah. Well, you always see Bill in an orange and white Tennessee cap with the big T. So he said, what is it about the T?
Yeah.
So he answered that one for us.
Well, my first T cap was sent to me by my good friend Doug Dickey, who was head football coach at the University of Tennessee at the time. And I was fortunate enough to win a national bass tournament while wearing it. And 2 months later, guess what? I was wearing that same cap and won another tournament. And someone said, Bill, that's your lucky cap. And the next thing I knew, it became my trademark. And that turned out to be a blessing because I never really had to change caps with a sponsor or anything. My national sponsors realized that I already had a trademark, that orange and white T-cap, this one right here. So I always wasn't required to fulfill any obligations in that regard. Like a NASCAR driver, you got to put this hat on, you got to put this hat on. I just put this one on, and that's the only one I had to wear. And after 50 years of outdoor programming later, I still wear this lucky cap. Maybe it was luck, but you always must know I'm surrounded by a great family and support staff, and I have the greatest sponsors in the business.
Well, it looks good on you, Bill.
It does. I know. He came to a commission meeting a few years ago for a special recognition that our commissioners were bestowing on him, and he wasn't wearing his cap. And it took me a minute. I was looking around the room for Bill Dance. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Without the cap, it's a little tougher to spot him in a crowd.
You don't see him very often without the hat and without the glasses. You know, he's it's his trademarks. But maybe Bill, if you're listening, we'd love to have a few caps.
Yeah.
Yep, WildCast is on the radio there. So, and speaking of Tennessee, I'm a big Tennessee fan. So, it'd look good on me too, Bill. No. All right. Well, when you think of Bill Dance, you always think of funny times, laughter, bloopers.
Yeah.
And he's got plenty of those out there. So we ask him, how the bloopers come about. So I know it's funny to watch. It's hilarious to watch him. And so anyway, he's got some behind the scenes on that.
It's amazing to think that he's shot as much video as he has. And think about the week to week to week TV shows over the years, and all the bloopers that must have happened during that time. Because he's had, I don't know how many projects he's put out that it's just bloopers.
Yeah. Well, he spills the beans here. So.
All right, good.
You know, I've been asked many times, how did the blooper series come about? Actually, the video series was kind of an accident. Let me explain. About 20 years ago, Walmart was one of our major sponsors of Bill Dance Outdoors. They asked for me to shoot a show on a particular fishing lures they wanted to air the following weekend. They had a lot of inventory on this particular bait and had run some promotional ads trying to promote it. So we said, no problem. No problem? Huh. We like to have never gotten that show shot. And we really never did. We caught only enough fish on this lure to complete a half a show. But our producer came up with a great idea. He told our editors to look back into the archives and see if they could find enough outtakes to fill out the show. Well, they did. The show aired, and a few weeks later, we got a call from Dick Clark Productions, who produced Super Bloopers and Practical Jokes on NBC. They wanted 3 or 4 of our blooper clips to air on their show. Then later, they wanted more. Then CBS came up with a blooper show, and they wanted some. Then later, we got a call from the BBC in London, and they wanted some. Well, that got us thinking, why don't we do our own blooper tape? So we did, and it was a huge success, followed by blooper 2, blooper 3, and then blooper 4.
Left me hanging there, Bill. Oh, I guess maybe blooper 5 might be coming down the road at some point.
Yeah, it might be, yeah.
That's funny.
Quite a series. Yeah, it is funny when you accidentally fall into something like that, you know, that is successful for you.
Yeah, you know, it. Some of it looks like it might be made up at some point sometimes, but, you know, it's funny that, I mean, you shoot video enough, and you're out there every day. It's stuff like that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple more for him, and these last two kind of reflect on some of the guys that work for us.
Right.
And so we thought that'd be interesting questions and thought the public might want to hear these. So this first one, he talks about fishing with Ed Carter, our recent director, just retired. He was on our 200th episode of WildCast and just recently. So if you've missed that one, you can go back and check it out. But this one, he talks about Ed and how special their relationship is and that kind of thing. So I think this will be a fun one for you guys.
You know, when the good Lord made people like Ed Carter, he did a great and wonderful thing. What a true, sweet, and gentle man. You know, in all the years he was our director, I've never, and I truly mean this, I never heard anything but good things said about him. Ed's and my relationship, it goes back probably 25 to 30 years when he was boating director of TWRA. He did a great job when he held that position, just like when he was the TWRA director of our state. And he's truly going to be missed. You know, at his recent retirement dinner, I did a video, just like many other people did. And in that video, I remember saying, Ed, I'm not going to say goodbye. I'm going to say, see you later. Because later is when Ed and Bobby Wilson and I will be doing our annual fishing trip over on the Mississippi River in search for a trophy blue, one of those big blue cats that both of them have been trying to catch for years.
I think that would be a fun trip to be on. Those three guys.
Oh man, and he mentions that being an annual trip, and I think it kind of, according to what I've heard from Bobby, they go do some sampling of the river at that point anyway. So it's kind of like they tie in a fishing trip with that thing too. So
that's great.
And man, I've had some experience catching those big catfish on the Mississippi, a little south of there, but that is a fun time catching those great big ones.
That would be a fun excursion to go on, shoot a little video.
Oh yeah,
we could put out a little something on that. But that would be fun. Well, we got one last question before we wrap it up, and our recent with Ed leaving and retiring, we now have a director, Bobby Wilson.
Yes,
in that position, and the commission appointed him to that position, and he's doing a great job. And we asked Bill what he thought about Bobby, so he lets us know.
Bobby Wilson and I are the best of friends. And, we have been for many, many, many years. I tell you what, let me say this. I don't think Bobby is just a friend, nor do I consider him just a good friend. I classify Bobby Wilson as a true friend. And you know something? There is a big difference. Bobby and I have had some great times fishing together, and we've been on a bunch of fishing trips together over the years. In addition to sharing some of our life experiences. Now, as far as Bobby's position as the new director of TWRA, he loves the state of Tennessee just as much as I do. He's a true conservationist. He cares about our wildlife. He believes and stands by our game and fish laws. He truly, truly cares and values the opinion of the sportsmen of the state of Tennessee. And there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever, I truly believe this, that he's going to be a great, great director. He truly will be.
Couldn't say it better myself.
Hey, there you have it. That's a pretty good testimony right there.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. Bill, I appreciate you jumping in here and doing this show with us from a distance.
That's right.
From your studio.
We kept at least 6 feet here between us and Bill, so that's awesome.
Well, it's been a little different episode of WildCast, but I think it's been a good one.
It has been.
And I think, like Bill said, I think it's going to be the future looks bright for the agency, and as Bobby coming in as the director, I think he's going to do a great job. And
I totally agree.
And I'm looking forward to getting outdoors and enjoying the resources of Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Don, thank you for co-hosting.
You bet. You bet.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time on Tennessee WildCast.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.